Well, welcome back, everybody. This is Pucks from the Pine Tree Pod. I'm your host, Benjamin Kennedy. Thank you so much for joining me this evening. We have had just a very busy week here for the Maine Mariners between roster moves and games and all sorts of fun stuff to talk about. So we are going to dive right into it here, starting with the roster moves and the roster changes that Coach Wallin last week had promised. He said that there's going to be a shakeup in the room. There has to be, and he definitely followed through with that this past week. Starting with defenseman Jason Horvath being released by the team. 10 games for him this year, no points, was a -2. It was recently signed by Reading. As of yesterday on the ECHL website, was listed as suspended by the team. So I'm not really sure what the story is there, but of course he is out the door. And there was a prior trade with Indy that was finished up here with part of this being a futures trade with Jake Willits and Bennett Stockdale both heading out the door to Indy. Willits got into 16 games for the team this year, 1 goal, 2 assists for 3 points, and Stockdale 14 games played, 1 goal, 3 assists for 4 points. So we'll be curious to see how those boys play. Coach did mention that Willits may already be heading over to Europe, so I'm not even sure if he'll end up in Indy. I guess we will have to wait and see what happens there. And I also will say that on the coaches show last night there at $3 Dewey's, coach did a wonderful job explaining kind of how some of these futures trades work, which you do see a lot of them in the ECHL. So thank you, coach, for that explanation on that. Couple trades for the team as well, bringing in some new players. Defenseman Trevor Thurston coming up here from Atlanta. Thurston's the 22 years old out of British Columbia, 6'2", 201-pound player. So bringing a little bit of size and physicality. You go back to the 22-23 season, he did play up in the queue for Cape Breton. 48 games played for him, had 9 goals, 12 assists for 21 points. So has had a little bit of scoring touch there. Last season, did play here in the ECHL, split his time between Reading, Orlando, and Tulsa, had 33 games and had 4 points in those games. So far this year, he's also kind of bounced around. This is his third team this season. Of course, already 2 games here for the Mariners. Did get into 2 games for Atlanta before the trade. And prior to that, played 5 games with the Birmingham Bulls of the SPHL, where he had 1 goal, 2 assists for 3 points. So far, he has a physical presence to his game. Seems to play kind of a simple, straightforward style. I think something that Coach Wallin had definitely identified as a need on this team as they try to reshape this defense. Second trade of the week, defenseman Corey Dennis, coming up from Orlando, 27 years old, so a little bit more of a veteran presence. He's out of Madison, Wisconsin, 6'1", 190 pounds for him. Started playing professionally back in 2021 between the SPHL and the ECHL. And earlier this year, did spend some time with Pensacola, the Ice Flyers, got into 13 games, had 1 goal, 7 assists for 8 points, and then 3 games there for Orlando before the trade. So coach followed through on his promise, kind of remaking this blue line a little bit. They're bigger now. I think they're a little more physical now. All guys now over 6 feet there on the blue line, and um, most are over 200 pounds, or if not, they're very close to it. So you've got some size and physicality, which at times in the ECHL can be hard to come by. So I think good on coach for recognizing there was an issue and going out and making some moves and changing up the room a little bit. So I think that a lot of good things happening there. Of course, coming out of 2 very good games there up in Glens Falls, New York from last weekend, the boys getting the 5-2 win, following that up with a 3-1 win. So doing exactly what we needed them to do, winning a weekend, which is something that we've been harping about here. Coach talked about it that you're just in that position where you can't keep splitting weekends. So great to see the effort. I think something about Adirondack, of course, this was a team that knocked you out a year ago. Players remember they came up with some tenacity and really took it to the Thunder there. But yeah, first game there, 5-2. Um, Maine getting outshot in this one, 25-29. Power play there was 1 for 6 for Maine and 1 for 4 for Adirondack. So did get a power play goal out of it. Bishel with the win and net had 27 saves on 29 shots. So good effort for him. Goal scoring for the team. Evan Vierling, assisted by Sarlo and Bean. Kalmakoff with his sixth goal this season. Sheehy and Thurston. Thurston getting his first assist with the group. Jimmy Lambert chipping in with goal number 7 for him. Berger and Vierling with the apples there. Uh, Berger getting the next goal there, his second of the season, assisted by Kalmakoff and Gay. And Patty Gay getting the empty netter to seal it up with Kalmakoff and DeVoe with the helpers there. So just a fairly dominant win. And when you go back to the weekend prior where they had, jumped up to a lead, let up a couple goals in that third period, I think that was in Worcester. Maybe they learned something where they just didn't allow Adirondack to really get much going there in that third period. So great to see. And that's a theme that will continue into this next game where they do win 3-1 there on December 14th. All goal scoring coming in that third period. Both teams with 24 shots on goal. And the only note I'll make here, as we all know, only one shot on goal for Adirondack in that third. So there you are. You're the Thunder. You've just lost the night before. You're down 2 goals. You're trying to push, chasing the score a little bit. You can only get one shot on net. I do think it was one of the more efficient, one of the more dominant defensive periods that the team has played this season. Awesome to see. You very rarely see, a period with just one shot on net. So good on the boys there. Maine was 0 for 4 on the power play here. Adirondack 1 for 4 for themselves. Brooklyn Kalmakoff gets the goal scoring started with his seventh of the season. Johnson and Gay with the assists. Christian Sarlo, he's starting to get things going for himself. 4 goals now, and assisted there by Bean. And then Kalmakoff with the final goal there, eighth of the season for him. Patty Gay and Berger with the helpers. Bishop getting the back-to-back starts, saving 23 out of 24, and 2 back-to-back wins, 4 for him. So great to see that. And listen, on the weekend, of course, we already talked about Kalmakoff with 5 points there. Gay had 4 points, so really good to see that. Christian Berger with 3 points from the blue line. So excellent, excellent weekend. Um, Needed, I think, much needed weekend if you're a Maine Mariner fan. So after that, of course, that leaves the team at 9-11, 2-0, 20 points, still sitting seventh in the North. But the good news is currently they're only 1 point away from fourth place. And you've got 4 teams there at the bottom, all within 1 point of each other. So, after just one sweep of a weekend, you're right there. You're right back in it. Um, Need to see more of this. Despite this, the team cannot afford to have more of those splits. You gotta continue to win these weekends. But I think a lot to be excited about right now, guys. Over the last 10, the team is 5-3-2, and they have certainly gained some ground on Adirondack, on Worcester, on Reading. None of those teams are really running away with this either. They're all kind of stumbling a little bit themselves. They all got off to better starts than the Mariners, but they're not really running away with things. It's really at the top of that division, as you can see, Wheeling and Norfolk 10-0 in their past 10, and Trois Rivières 9-0-1. So the top three are, I don't want to say they're quite set yet, but man, they're kind of cooking right now. Haven't lost in a long time. So you might be looking at a race for fourth place between those kind of bottom 4 teams. 2 big wins in a row. And looking at that last 10, I do believe we're seeing some reasons for optimism. I really do. In my opinion, the defensive play on the ice has improved overall. And we're seeing special teams numbers are gradually improving with each game. Right now, the power play is at 13.9%. The PK is at 78.4. So, sure, not exactly where we want to be, but you've seen those small, gradual improvements. As for the defense, they do appear to be defending with more instincts. I feel like they've been more in sync with each other and doing a little less thinking. I love that. Trust those instincts. Yeah, we see it with the big boys up in Boston this year. Sometimes guys like McAvoy and Carlo kind of get caught overthinking a little bit instead of just going out and doing it, right? So I think you've seen with the Mariners a little less thinking, a little more instinctual play, playing more in sync. I really like that. Really good to see. I also think they're becoming a little more engaged physically here too. And as we've already noted with some of the new pieces coming in, you've got a fairly good sized blue line. So you just might see more physical play coming up here. That would be great to see. I've always been a big believer in the idea of, good defense leads to better offensive efficiencies and better offensive chances. When you're defending with speed, when you're moving your feet, when you got your sticks being active, you're playing on top of the play typically. You're not chasing. And that's when you get into trouble with not just not having, the puck on your stick offensively, but you get into a penalty trouble there too. So I just think that the more you play that way defensively, it's just going to lead to better offensive chances and better offensive efficiency. So let's hope we see more of that. Of course, just a little update here. Top performers after the weekend. Evan Veerling, 19 games played for him, 5 goals, 16 assists for 21 points. So he's leading the team there with the 21. Brooklyn Kalmakoff, 16 games, 8 goals, 10 assists for 18 points. And Jimmy Lambert, 15 games for him, 7, 10, and 17 for him. So seeing some good numbers. Of course, Kalmakoff, wonderful weekend for himself. Bischel is now in net there up to 7 wins, and goals against average has gone down to 2.81. The save percentage has come up to 894. So that's what 50 saves on 53 shots will do for you on a weekend. So nice to see those numbers climbing. And according to coach, he is starting to come into his own a little bit. Keep in mind, he's still just a rookie. He played at Notre Dame last year and had a great year for himself. But he's starting to solidify himself more as that number one goaltender for the team. So we'll see where that goes, and hopefully for more good for him. And also Christian Berger had a nice weekend for himself. Now points in 4 straight games, so really good to see that out of the young blue liner. Of course, Coach Wallin did make his regular appearance on the Big Jab week or midday show, should say, back on Monday, and then they did have the coaches show there at $3 Dewey's last night with Mike Keeley. First of all, just a quick thank you to Mike Keeley. Did get a couple of my questions in on the show, so definitely appreciate that. And just some of the notes from this show that I kind of jotted down from what Coach had to say. First of all, he said best 120 minutes that they've put together all year. Uh, Felt like the group was starting to gel and come together. And yeah, I think watching those 2 games, I would say no question the best consistent 120 minutes that they have put out this season. Hopefully, that's a sign of things to come. He used the term stone cutter. And I kind of like this term and talking about what was different this weekend versus the last couple. That stone cutter mentality, and I think what he meant by that is that you keep with the process, keep with the system. Eventually, you're going to cut through, and starting to happen. Right? He mentioned how the health of the team now with getting all your forwards back is allowing those lines to start coming together, and you're starting to see good results offensively. Kalmakov is really starting to move his feet and getting things going, and coach really did mention that his play for sure comes from his confidence and those feet moving, and you're seeing a lot more of that. So great to see that there. Coach also mentioned that they did make some tweaks with the defense. Trying to make things a little simpler, a little more black and white. And again, you're seeing that play out here on the ice. Um, Probably my biggest takeaway, and I do love this for Coach Wallin, because you don't always hear coaches speak, honestly about maybe mistakes they've made or areas at which they needed to change up. But he was very clear that he thought maybe early on he was doing a little over coaching, that maybe they were throwing too much at the players, not letting them kind of meld together or play with those instincts. Right. I just really like that admission from coach and that they said, hey, we're gonna maybe do a little less coaching to let those instincts take over, simplify things a little bit, especially on the road where it can be a little more challenging to play. So I just like that admission, and it's starting to show out on the ice. So good all around. Road ahead. No Wednesday game this week. They do have the two coming up down in Worcester. Of course, Worcester currently sitting fifth in the division, 9-14-1-2 with 21 points. So you do play on the 21st at 6 p.m. and then on the 22nd, matinee 3:05 drop there down in Worcester. Currently for the Railers, their power play is at 19.2%. PK is at 73.9. They also have 3 shorthanded goals on the season, so something to be watching out for there. Of course, they did make a coaching change recently. I'm going to try not to butcher this name, but Nick Tizzolino, Tuzzolino, I think is how you say it, is now the head coach and general manager, with Bob Delaney stepping down and stepping into a head of scouting role for the team. So, uh, curious to see how that works out for Worcester. Top performers for them, again, very familiar names. We play Worcester a lot. Anthony Rapace, 26 games, 17 goals, 12 assists, 29 points, having a great year for himself. Connor Welsh, 26 games, 3 goals, 17 assists for 20 points. And Jordan Kaplan, 26 games, 4 goals, 15 assists for 19 points. So, another great opportunity, just like last weekend. 4 points on the table, a team in front of you. Man, if you can get these 4 points here, have a 4 game winning streak, be a great way to go into the holiday break. We do have a few listener questions and listener comments we're going to get to. Starting with Slew 1974. He asks, what do you believe is the identity of this team as it stands today? Interesting question. I do believe maybe it's taken a little time for that identity to be discovered for this group. Clearly, coach is making roster changes and has been open and vocal about some players simply not playing within the system and not doing the job that was being asked of them. When I think about the team's identity today, I feel this is a youthful team with offensively creative talent, especially at their top lines. A team, that has, yes, taken some time to mesh within the defensive team structure, but a team that's also shown an ability to respond to coaching and starting to show that willingness to continue doing the work, trusting a team structure that the coaching staff has put in front of them. So I think to answer the question, I would say, in terms of identity, they're youthful, offensively creative, responsive to coaching, and willing to grind out that tough work and that consistency. So, I do have another question from anonymous. They were asked to be held anonymous here, but they ask, "What do you want under your Christmas tree as a hockey fan this year?" And this is a good one. I'm not sure if I have a limit on how many wishes I get, but I'll rail a few off here. I think first of all, I would love to have a second line center for the Boston, or second line right wing, I should say, for the Boston Bruins. I think that would be my first ask from Santa. Give me a right winger for that second line. Um, I think I'd also love to see, newly acquired Maine native Oliver Wallstrom, who is now a Bruin. Love to see him get his scoring touch back. So Santa, if you could, I don't know if it means you get Walsh a new stick or new start or whatever, but I would love to see him get that going. That might answer my first one there. He might be that right wing that we need. It would also be a nice opportunity to make the Islanders look silly for cutting him. I think my next ask from Santa would be, I want Tom McClellan as my head coach there in Boston. So yeah, bring me some Tom McClellan. Would love that. And let's see for the Mariners. What would I like for the Mariners? I think I would like RV to get a win. I'd like him to have some good luck. Poor guy has had nothing but bad luck in that, has had some really good games for himself and just can't seem to get a win. So let's give RV a win, please. And then, yeah, let's give me a 10-game winning streak for the Mariners. We already got 2 down. Give me the 2 this weekend. Nice 10-game winning streak would look awfully good under the Christmas tree. Another question here from Mike Nicholas. Asks, who has impressed you for rookies so far this season? Who's making the most strides in improvement? Mike, for me, and you said this as well in your comment. Christian Berger. I think we agree on that. 18 games for him, 2 goals, 9 assists for 11 points. He's a +8. And for me, he's just felt like one of the more responsible defensemen so far. He's done a good job quarterbacking that power play in the absence of Millman and Bavaro not being here anymore. And I feel like he kind of plays physically kind of bigger than his size. I think he's 6 feet. He seems to play bigger out there. So you like that. And listen, he's already been called up to the AHL once, got a quick look. Won't be surprised if there's more to come there for him. A couple other listener comments, more comments and questions, but Nate Pendleton chimed in saying it's nice to see a sweep after our record this year. And yeah, Nate, it was great to see that sweep. As I mentioned earlier, and coach has certainly mentioned they have to start winning more of these weekends to continue to catch up and try to get that playoff spot locked in. Splits aren't going to help you anymore. You got to start winning these weekends. So yes, very good to see that. And Justine J. Bowden mentions, let's hope they bring it back here, meaning the winning, and not leave the winning on the road. And yeah, I think we would all love to see that. The team is 5-7 at home, and I think even coach mentioned that at the coaches show that he would like to see more home wins. Of course, we would, right? We'd love to see more wins at the Cross Insurance Arena. So that's what I have for tonight. Kind of a short one. Hope again everybody's having a lovely week. And if I don't talk to you before the Christmas holiday, I hope everybody has just a lovely holiday season and a lovely Christmas. And just enjoy. So thanks as always for watching and listening tonight. If you do like what you're hearing, please don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button down below. And until next time, be kind, show love, and God bless.